And boom, boom, boom. We're live, everybody. Welcome to Red TV and Conversation. I'm Peter Clark, and thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being here. If you're brand new, which I think I have some brand new people here today, I'm pretty pumped because we're going right across the ocean today, right on the other side of the world. And we got a whole bunch of people on the other side of the world. Welcome to all my friends in and around the Netherlands, all around. I'll show you where you are in a minute. Great to have you. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining me. If you're here again because you've seen the show before, I thank you because you already know what's coming up. So I appreciate the fact that you are willing to come back. So here's a quick little plug. If you like what you see, you like the show, share it. Just share it, like it in your network. We're trying to amplify good in the world, and we have some goodness coming over here right here. Really pumped, really excited today. Always excited. I'm always excited because I get a chance to meet some amazing people on different platforms, not just LinkedIn, by the way, because we're broadcasting on LinkedIn right now. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, we're whatever.com we're out there. We're doing something right now. So I meet people right across the globe on different platforms, including Clubhouse. And I think we've met my special guest here today through Clubhouse, but I'll confirm that if that's true or not. It might have been specifically here on LinkedIn, but let's just jump right to it, everybody. We're going to talk about a really cool subject today. I can't even, I had to spell it a couple times out loud. Neuroscience. I had to spell that a few times. So she's an executive coach at Better Brains at Work. Now that's her company, by the way. I want to make sure I emphasize that. So she's an entrepreneur, keynote speaker, and a columnist. She's worked for 20 years as an executive before she left the corporate world, and she immersed herself in psychology, interpersonal neurobiology. See, I had to say that a couple times, and the neurosciences. So in 2021, she attained her Master of Cognitive Neuroscience at the Academy of Neuroscience in Cologne. Now, how cool is that? That means I just feel I need to get out more, and I have to do so much more with my life because this person is so awesome. I'm so excited to meet her because we've never really connected before, like face to face like this. This is the very first time. Please, everybody, welcome Danielle Helebrand. How are ya?
Peter, so nice to meet you. Finally.
Right.
Hi. Hello from the Netherlands.
Right. I was just thinking to myself, oh my goodness gracious. We've crossed paths so many times.
Yeah.
But yet this is the first time. So I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So it's great to see you. Great to meet you.
So good to see you, Peter. Thank you for having me on your show.
And look at that guitar in the background.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. And a 12 string at that. So there you go. Yes. I love it. This is fantastic. So super appreciate you being here. There's so much to talk about. Hey, you're getting so much love from your network, by the way, pre-show. So I just wanted to send out lots of love to your network because you have a really great circle of friends that support you. So they love you and they love what you do. Yeah. So a shout out to your friends because I must say I'm a big fan of anytime there's support and so on. And speaking of that, I'll just throw it out there right there. Look, Stefan, look forward to this conversation. I so appreciate that. This is what it's all about. And this person, we talked about this just before we went to the air. Anouk, is how I say that name?
Yeah, hi, Anouk. So great that she's here.
She's a rock star because
she's a rock star. Yes, she in Germany and Holland. She's a rock star.
Yeah, she's a rock star. I looked up her LinkedIn profile. Looks the part, and she actually posted. She said, "Please support your friends," and then she posted all. So that's a good friend you have right there. I love that. Melody, always love some Boston and some Massachusetts showing up. Melody is a fantastic person. Danielle, you'll probably have crisscrossed seeing her comments as well. She does a lot of work with PTSD and people that go through that. She's a great writer as well. So really excited about that. Kevin, always good to see you. Boom. Hey, Indianapolis in the house. Always love Indy. I'm a John Mellencamp fan, so anything to do with Indiana, I'm all good with that. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Danielle, we got so much to talk about. I got to start by asking you, first of all, everyone healthy? Everyone good in your family? Everyone safe? Everyone's all good.
Everyone's safe, healthy. Everything is good here. Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, because I know again, and I don't want to go down this path right this second, but I want to just acknowledge the fact that, several months ago, you and many people in Central Europe had those terrible floods.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that it was just a really, really terrible 1 in 100 year kind of flood kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I know that was a very stressful time for you. So we're sending all much love to all the people that maybe still feeling the effect.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing that for sure. So we want to acknowledge that. I'm going to put up right now where people can reach you. That is always one of the things I want to make sure that people connect with you instantly and find out a little bit more about you. So along the bottom there, everybody, there's the LinkedIn profile. You can reach out to Danielle that way. The Janet Smith stuff is in there. That is wrong. I don't know. See, it's hard to get good help here. Same with me. Clubhouse at Better Brains. That's what I really wanted to emphasize. Clubhouse at Better Brains. So you spend some time on Clubhouse and so on. I'm just curious real quick. Great connections, great conversations you're having out there. You're meeting a lot of different people, I guess. Yes?
And that's how we met, Peter, on Clubhouse. I think we met on Clubhouse. I heard your voice. And in one of those talks, I said, oh, you have such a nice voice, such a comforting voice. And then someone was talking about your show. And then I watched your show. I think it was the one with Coach Con.
Oh,
you two had an amazing click. And I saw your show and I was in love. It was amazing. And so since then, I'm a fan, huge fan of your shows. And several times we met on Clubhouse with a lot of other wonderful people.
That's what I thought. I thought I've seen you in multiple rooms. I don't spend a whole bunch of time on Clubhouse, but it is a great way to connect with people.
Yeah, it is.
Great way to meet people like this. And then there's an excuse to get together and chat and meet. And now I know somebody over on the other side of the world, which I love. Oh, well, speaking of the other side of the world, listen, I don't do this very often, but it's just because of I really wanted to figure out where you were. I wanted to figure out that whole thing. So I'm going to go here for a second. Watch this and let's just have some fun. I want to show you where I am because I want to come and visit you one day. There's no doubt about that because you
have to.
Right? What a great pocket of the world you are in, and there's so many cool people over there. There's just in case everybody you're feeling really, really big today. That's where we all live, right there. So that's it. You know, all of human history is found right there on that little blue dot. So I want to go over and show you. Let's see where I am. I want to show you this. This is kind of
cool. This is the only dot we have. There is no other planet. So
right. Okay. So there, I'm zooming in on North America. There I am. I'm over in Western Canada. So I'm in Calgary, Alberta. I'm at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. Basically.
Whoa. So it's on my bucket list. It's on my bucket list.
Right. Right. So if I pull out of here, so that's generally where I am, everybody, just in Western Canada and so on. And let's go and see where you are. I just did this search here a second ago, and there you are, Vaals, Netherlands.
The highest mountain of the Netherlands, Peter. That's where I live. 322 meters. Yeah.
So that's like the Rocky Mountains. There you go.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. It's on the border with Belgium, Germany. So if I go out of the house, I'm in a few meters. I am in Germany or in Belgium or in the Netherlands.
I mean, how cool is that? So I'm going to pull out a little bit. That's where you are. And so I'm going to pull out and then we can see, generally speaking, as I keep moving out, there's Brussels over there and so on. And now we're pulling right back and we're going to see, England and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're in a really super cool pocket of the world, which I love that. I love that. So you can entertain, like you said, French, you can go have a little bit of wine, go to Germany, do the beer fest. I mean, right?
Cheese, everything. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I love it. I love it. Okay. I just want to recognize that because you have so many cool people that are supporting you here. I'm going to go into the comments right away. Look, Wendy, thank you for being here. Ready for this live conversation, sending positive vibes. Beautiful. Great to have you here. Here's someone obviously cheering for you, Dirk.
Dirk, yeah.
Right? Your face lit right up on that.
Yeah, so good.
That is awesome. Let's see. Here's a good friend of mine, Suzanne Heaton in Calgary, Alberta. She has a company called Motivated by Nature. Danielle, you just talked about, being close to the mountains and all that kind of stuff, and us as well. She has a company where she encourages people to go out outside to reconnect with nature and so on. So she is just an awesome person. So I highly recommend. There she is. Look at that. Great conversation coming. Here's a cool guy, rock star right there.
Yeah.
You right? You know this guy?
We connected. Yeah, we did. Danielle. Hi, Danielle.
He was in that room, I think the last room you were in and stuff like that. So it's always good like that. Hey, Pharrell, great to see you, buddy. Appreciate that. Looking forward to the show. Always great. Hey, thank you. It was a great shout out. Appreciate that. Who else is here? Oh, look at this. Hey, Mom.
My son. He's with grandpa. He's with my father. Hey, looky.
How
The
cool is
love of my
that?
life, my son.
Right. And I was just asking you to make sure everyone's healthy. I remember I heard you, just as a side note, I heard you in a clubhouse room recently, just talking about that you're in a new place now and you're feeling really at home. And I just thought that was so moving. I'll take you there in a little bit, but I just love the fact that that conversation was happening where you felt really comfortable where you're living right now. So good for him. Good to see Luke here as well. I appreciate that. Fantastic. Okay, listen, there's so much to talk about. I mean, there's so much to start with. Again, neuroscience. So let's just jump right there. You have a master, I guess, of neuroscience with in cognitive neuroscience. So again, this is language that I'm familiar with. I'm certainly no expert in this, but I do want to jump to, for those that put everything into context for everything that we're going to be talking about for the rest of the show. Tell us a little bit about like what exactly that is, if you can. Tell us about neuroscience and just literally what that is in your in their daily work that you do as a coach, as a speaker, and so on. Share with us a little bit about that.
So I now have my master's in cognitive neuroscience, but still a master of nothing and a student of everything, Peter. I stay a student of everything. About 10 years ago, I quit my corporate job. I fitted in, but I did not belong there anymore. And what always fascinated me is why do we do the things we do? And why is that I could get along with some people very well, and I suffered much in toxic environments. So why do we do the things we do? It fascinates me, human behavior. Yes. And I quit my job and I started my journey first in psychology, and I was a systemic psychologist and a trauma therapist, and short therapy from Steve DeShazer and 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 thought, now I know a few things about psychology, and every 30 years there is a kind of another view of mankind. We had Sigmund Freud, and then the behaviorism, and then we had the time of sex, drugs, rock and roll, and then we had humanistic psychology. Now we're in this performance society, this kind of, sometimes a little bit individualistic society. We try to control the future, and that's the kind of the software. But I thought I want to know a little bit more about the hardware of where the behavior and the emotions and everything comes from. So I started my journey with a little bit of neurobiology, and then with interpersonal neurobiology, and it came through the word interpersonal. I like the interbeingness, and it researches the kind of way our nervous systems and we people interact and how we influence each other, and we influence each other much more than we ever thought. So your energy speaks volumes before you even speak. Yes. And from interpersonal neurobiology, I came to the cognitive neurosciences, and we live in we do thinking for a living, much of us, most of us. And if we talk about thinking and being creative and innovative, then it's very important to know how this organ in our skull functions, how it works. Right. Yeah, and one of the It's very fascinating. And I think one of the most important findings of the last 10, 15 years is, and that is what I do in my work with everything I do, I have the brain in mind, is that the cognitive is overrated, and we are much more feeling emotional beings than we ever thought. So the brain is not a thinking organ, it's a feeling organ, it's a social organ. And if the moment we forget that in our day-to-day interaction, but also in our work, we have this decline in cognitive function. So it's so important that we're, as you say, be kind, be nice. It's good for the brain, it's good for the body. You can think very well.
Thank you for sharing. Like, there's so much to unpack in there, but let me just remind people, because they might not know this. I mean, your background is from human resources. You spent a lot of time in human resources. I reached out to one of your friends, by the way, just to kind of try to dig up some dirt on Petra. Do you?
I don't know if that's good.
I do my
These
homework.
were
I do.
wild times in Maastricht.
Yeah, no, she's a big fan. She's a big fan, and she sent me some messages about you and said that you worked together. You had a really tight little team, and she just loved working with you and so on. So I just want to tell people that your background is from human resources. So being able to talk about neuroscience, the psychology of how it plays out in the workplace, how it plays out in hiring practices, retention, all those kinds of things, you are an expert at that too. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. And I did hear you say in another interview somewhere, we talked about the brain part. You said a lot of people think we're, the brain is a thinking organism, basically with some feelings, but you actually feel it's more like a feelings thing that actually can think. So we'll touch on that in a second. But, I also heard you say something about being social, and you just mentioned it as a little bit there about the idea of social being our biggest reward and our biggest threat. And I just thought, wow, that's okay. That's just like great butting up against each other. Can you explain a little bit more about that, just briefly, about the idea that you feel that the idea of social is a reward and a threat at the same time?
Well, the biggest reward for our system is social, and the biggest threat is social, and that means the biggest rewards come from other people who love us, with whom we connect, etc., etc., and the biggest threat comes also from other people. So if we feel we are in a toxic environment and there are not enough people around us who love us, and the atmosphere is not well, that is such a huge threat to our systems, and our brain stops thinking clearly. It is even so that 5 times per second our system checks, is it good, is it not good, is it good, is it not? It is towards and away response. So and that's how we survived evolution, Peter. We survived evolution through working together, being kind to each other. We talk about the survival of the fittest, but we survived. It is a snuggle for survival. That's how we survived evolution. We snuggled. We took care of each other. We were good to each other.
Yeah.
And we still have to be, also in a digital age, we have to be kind to each other.
It's funny you mentioned it, and it just reminds me of a conversation I recently had with 𝗟𝗶𝘁𝗵 𝗂𝗲𝗂𝗲. You definitely have to look up 𝗟𝗶𝘁𝗵 𝗂𝗲𝗂𝗲, and she has a fascinating new book. But within her context of what she talks about of empathy and compassion and empathy action, putting love into action and so on. She has a phrase where it's like, it's almost talking about the good old days. And when I say that, I mean, it's not about technology. It's just that we would be aware of our community. We were really connected socially within our community. We knew everybody. We knew everybody's name. We knew when someone was, needed some help and so on. So the ability to be kind and empathetic was there. Now, we're talking about empathy right now, and that's a great segue for something else I heard you talk about. And I think this is really cool because, again, it's tying back to your expertise in HR and now neuroscience and leadership and people that are hiring and retaining people and running businesses and so on. You talk about the idea of efficiency of workers, but you said empathy almost always wins over efficiency. I thought that was a really cool phrase. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, because leaders today in businesses are expected to grow. The investors want their returns. They want larger sales and revenues and profits and so on. So how can someone square that? How can you sell that vision to leaders about this idea of being empathetic and compassionate when they're measured by their efficiency when it comes to profitability and so on? Can you talk to that a little bit about empathy and the efficiency part?
Yeah. And of course, everyone who was in a management or a leader position has a lot of responsibility for people's and for revenues, etc., etc. And we keep talking about KPIs, key performance indicators, but I would reframe that as keep people involved. It always, the wins you have with that are huge, because when we work in a toxic environment, when there is a lot of stress, a lot of multitasking, there is not enough psychological safety, we turn inwards. We're afraid, we have this fight or flight reaction. And when you're in that state, there's no time to be creative and innovative and think and make big plans. So the moment you're not taking care of the psyche and of the social needs of your people, there is this huge temporary decline in IQ. And you know, when you have a lot of stress, you have a tunnel vision. You turn inwards because you're afraid. Your cognition goes down. It's impossible to collaborate with other people because you have to save your own soul, so to speak. You can't be creative. And I mean, what is creativity, Peter? You were also a musician, you were a creative person. I think Albert Einstein said, creativity is intelligence having fun. So if you have stress, there's no intelligence, there is no fun, no creativity. And in this world where things are going so fast and we have to be creative and innovative, if you don't take care of the social needs of your people, you know, they're putting on their poker face, they have their nice, you know, clothes, their working clothes, but nothing is going on inside. So keep people involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea. Keep people on KPIs, you know, of course, key performance indicators, if you will, normally, but KPI of keep people involved. When you say that, though, we're referring to the idea of leaders being super aware of the full person that's coming to the work environment. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to find the language here. So keep people involved, meaning you want them to know that you're aware and you have this empathetic, compassionate side. Again, as a leader, I'm wondering how they square that when they're being pressured to perform, and that the efficiency needs to be there. And you know, do you want empathy or do you want efficiency? Can you have both? I guess you can.
You can have both, but you cannot be efficient if you're not doing that with empathy. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I'm coming a little bit of this old system. A little bit. I worked in a command and control environment, and that doesn't do us people very good, and it isn't very good for our brains. And when we talk about bringing your whole self to work, we always do that because we come to work with our competence resume, the things we did, we are experienced with, things we study, but we also come to work with our relationship resume and with our emotions. And those things, there are often hidden dynamics. They're a very deep parts of our brain, so to speak. They play such a huge role. And especially those social parts of our being, of ourselves, that are on a very unconscious, deep level, they play such a big role. There is no, on that level, there is no words, there is no visuals. It's just deep feelings. And the higher you go up in the hierarchy in the limbic system up to the prefrontal cortex, it starts to get words and feelings. And you must see it like this. The cognitive mind, the thinking part of our brain, is the servant of what my deep emotions want. He's kind of the government spokesman. He is the last to know and has to sell all that to the outside world. So that's how it works. So emotions do play a big role. You cannot leave them at the entrance of the building and just come with your thinking brain and leave your emotions outside. Yes. They play a huge, huge role.
Yeah, and I think it's not a new, obviously this, and we're talking about it now because it is top of mind for most businesses right now, especially over the last 2 years, where obviously the workforce has changed radically, how people are working, you know, remote and all these kinds of different things. So the ability to making people feel part of something and collective and so on is top of mind for leaders. So empathy, compassion, understanding people's situations and so on. You mentioned the word relationship. I think that's really, really cool. You know, I heard you mention, and I think this is something else about, again, connecting it back to your experience with also how you work with leaders today in the work environment where people show up with two resumes. You talked about competency and relationship. So mentioned and talked about that important part. Explain that a little bit, just the difference between what you feel is, you know, it's almost like saying, would you hire for EQ or IQ? You know, would you hire for attitude or hire the person that you can train and get the right attitude? So I like the idea.
Hire for DNA or MBA. I would hire for DNA, you know, instead of MBA.
So so explain a little bit about what you meant by that, though, when you say people show up with kind of two resumes. You know, they're obviously competent for the job, but the other side of it is the relationship is the EQ there. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, I can have a lot of competence, and I think we all know very smart people who know a lot of things. But sometimes there are people it's not fun to work with. because they have not a good vibe, not a good energy. People are afraid of them. People don't speak up. And you can be a very competent person, but if people are afraid to speak up to you as a leader, if there is not enough psychological safety, you know nothing as a leader. And what can you do if you don't know what your people are struggling with, if you don't really see them? And I come from that time, I mean, 25 years ago, my role as a leader was, know it all and say what we're going to do, and everyone has to follow. And I always thought, when are they going to find out that I don't know everything? Because we're all such smart people, Peter. And if you don't have the competences, if you don't study certain things, or if you don't have the experience in a certain area, why should I hire you? So therefore, it is so important to look at the relation, the IQ, the emotional intelligence of people.
Yes, of course. It's fascinating. You just said this resonates with me, what you just said about because you mentioned Coach Khan earlier. Of course, he's over in Greece right now, lucky dog, which and good for him. And so, of course, that's the home of Socrates. And I was just watching something last night, believe it or not, about Socrates, and I just resonate with that whole concept of like, the more I know nothing. I just realize I just don't know anything. So back to your point about a leader feeling like you always have to have the answers, that imposter syndrome of thinking, wow, I have to be able to let everyone know that I know everything, versus being open and honest and saying, hey, I know enough to kind of keep us moving, but I don't know everything.
And the older I get, the more I know. I know so little.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. Every day I wake up and go, gosh, I feel like I know nothing. But
also as a leader, Peter, the world is too complex. Things are going so fast. So if it all has to come from one brain, you're missing a lot of things. And I know it was all in the newspaper. We're talking now about the Great Resignation.
Yes.
So many people are leaving their jobs.
Yes.
And what that means, what you're losing in a company, you lose so much brain power. Yeah. So be good to people. And we also saw that companies who were good to their people before the pandemic, they stuck by their leaders, by their companies. But if there was already trouble in paradise, people don't leave.
You're right about that, about being able to, most people quit or leave jobs and data-wise is always about the leadership that they're actually reporting.
People quit bosses, not companies, not because the coffee is not good or the computer is, people quit. If you're, then it's in toxic environment. It's very, very, very hard to be there, to work there.
100%. So many great comments in here. I encourage you to go back after the show. Just go and have a look and connect with everybody in the show. I so appreciate that. There you go. Look, hey, there's a rock star who recognizes another rock star. That's my mom. Hi, Mom. This is fantastic. I just want to make sure I get that shout out right there. Here's more names here that you might recognize. Actually, listen, in Germany. There we go.
Silke, yeah. Hi, Silke.
I love that. See, another one. Boston's always here. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm thinking Boston is going to be my buddy Paul. That could be a good friend of mine, Paul. So I appreciate that. Love this here. Love that. Not a master of anything, a student of everything. You said that earlier, so I totally agree with that. Let's have a put here. Danielle. Danielle, one thing that fascinates me is the studies on caregivers working with traumatized children, and how caregiver brain patterns shift to look similar to the people that they are caring for. Does that resonate with you at all? Like that connection point between, that's a big subject matter, Danielle.
That's big. And it is, we influence each other like a kind of a Wi-Fi. Yeah. And the influence of other people is so huge, because if I'm stressed through another person, a lot of going on in my brain, in my nervous system, there's a lot of cortisol, etc. Neurons that wire together. So if I have a lot of toxic people surrounding me, my system gets a little bit toxic. And if I surround myself with good people, and especially I think what Danielle means, when we are born, I don't have language to talk. I just interact with the facial expression and the love and the energy of my caregivers. So that is such an important
He
part
mentioned
of
it
our
right there.
life.
So you guys are in sync because he just said that. He said starts when the baby is born. It starts in utero.
Yeah.
There, see,
Daniel,
he's
so true.
aware. I'll tell you that guy.
Yeah, he is.
I super appreciate that. Thank you so much, Daniel. Keep people involved. KPI. Have added that to my daily measures. That's fantastic. Yeah, I agree.
And that is, I know he does. He and his team, they're fantastic. There's such a good atmosphere. So yeah, they walk the talk.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Hey, I love this. Thank you, Gabe, for being here. Appreciate that. Listening to us is claiming the infection, and cadence is so soothing. Hey, that's cool. That's just
thank you. Thank
you for being here. We appreciate that. I got to put up a comment from your good friend here. Empathy is such an important strength in life in general, business wise, and also in private relations. Thanks for deepening it. DNA instead of MBA. Yeah, love that quote. So I do too. Yeah, that's a fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
Right, higher
she
again.
also walks the talk. I know.
Yeah, it sounds like that. I love that, and thank you for being here, Melody. Always have a beginner's mindset because there's always more to learn. And
beautiful Melody.
Yeah, that's what we talk about here. Let me ask you this about we're talking about employees, and we were just talking about leaders and empathy and compassion, and of course, we're always trying to. I think everyone's on that very similar journey. I mean, we all just want to continuously improve and and try to be better than we were yesterday, and so on. And on the business side of it, we're always talking about return on investment. And then, of course, when it comes to society, from a society perspective, or from a philanthropic perspective, or your community, whatever it is, we're always trying to figure out, are we doing good in the world? So we balance out profitability with doing good, and so on. So I heard again, just going by all the things I read about you and listen and stuff. You talked about return on investment and return on society. I like that. So talk about this idea of return on investment when it comes to that. And then is it a return on society, and how those two can bridge together?
We always talk in companies about our return on investment, but I think it's also very important to look to our return on society, because I know you travel a lot, Peter. I was a while in the south of America, was a while with the 𝘂𝗲𝗄𝗲. They lived like for 400 years. Wow. And you always think, are we good ancestors? What does my action today means for the next generations to come? And I understand this concept more since I'm a mother. I'm not a very young mother. My son is 70, I'm 54. I give it a lot of, I think about that a lot. What is the legacy I leave behind? We all leave behind. There is only this one planet. And what are we doing? What are we doing to nature? What are we doing to our planet? And everything is connected to everything. The rivers don't drink their own water. The Buddha already said that. Trees don't eat their own fruits. We need sun, we need rain, we need water. Everything is connected to everything. And also we are just a little piece in the big chain of life. So things I do impact people around me, impacts nature. So being aware of that, and if you travel a lot, I think then you have a lot of awareness about that, I think. So return on society, we owe it to the generations to come, but we also owe it to ourselves.
Yeah.
To our planet.
Yeah, and you hit a really sensitive subject for me when it comes to travel. Is that's why I love to travel. It's not so much even just the joy of the travel, which is fantastic, jumping on a plane, going to different destinations, but it's the enrichment. It makes you just a better person.
Exactly.
You're able to, like you said, live among people. It doesn't matter what the culture is. It doesn't matter what the history. When you're around a different culture, language, music, art, conversation, it just makes you more aware of like you said, more of a feeling of community globally. And so everything you do, you want it to be a positive impact on society.
Yeah.
Right. So I think fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that. You've traveled and you speak to a lot of people, and I've asked this question with a few other people recently, and I know that I think you popped into the show on Clubhouse where we were talking about this subject. But I'm wondering from your experience, just of the things that people that you work with, with better brains at work, and again, with cognitive neuroscience and just your awareness, what do you think right now? What are people searching for? What are we searching for? What do you think?
To be seen, to be heard. I mean, we have this COVID pandemic, but we also have this other pandemic. That's the pandemic of loneliness, of mental health issues, of burnout. I mean, look at the numbers of the World Health Organization. So there is something, Peter, we're doing not very right. There's a lot of addiction. A lot of people are lonely. And that is a huge problem. So I think being nice to each other and acknowledging that we also need other people, because, the interesting thing is our social brain, so the emotional part of our brain, so to speak, doesn't mature. It stays at the age of about 8 years, which means when we are really, really honest to each other and we listen inside, our social brain has the same needs and vulnerabilities as an 8-year-old. And it's very primarily, and that is, do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you love me? Right. We don't look like that. I'm always going through life with sometimes my poker face, and depending on the situation, my business mask, so to speak. But inside, there's just this little heart. And like we all, Peter, we're that more alike than we are separate. We want to be heard, to be seen, and to be loved. And maybe that's the big question in life. Where do I come from? And where do I want to go? Why am I here? And are there enough people who love me? And am I loving enough to the people I surround myself with? So.
Yeah, no, I resonate with that, because just what you talked about, where you kind of want to go and so on. It's like who you want. I think I posted something about this yesterday about this. I was listening to Jim Rohn and talking about who do I have to become to reach the goals and dreams that I want. Meaning, and it's not about attaining physical things. It's not about that. It's like, who do I have to become to actually, experience the things that I want to experience. And to your point, I mean, it's just, we're all just trying to figure out what our journey is. We're all searching for different things, but I agree with you. Do you see me? Do you hear me? And do I matter? I think that's a very universal.
And the social needs are the most important basic needs. So are there people who love me, and am I lovable to other people? So that's the most important thing, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I cannot speak to someone who knows a lot about cognitive neuroscience without going deep. We got to go deep today. Okay, so we're going to go. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to go deep today? Yeah, I mean, we got to go deep today, because we're talking about neuroscience and the brain and how it works and all kinds of. I just want to throw a couple of questions at you. Any one of these could be literally shows. I mean, I could do a 3-hour show on any one of these things. So just off the top of your head, just share with us what you think about some of these things. I traveled to Rwanda many years ago, and I interviewed people, believe it or not only who survived genocide, but also participated in genocide. So I interviewed both. I actually interviewed people that actually participated at the same time, which is a really overwhelming thing, meaning the victim and the perpetrator. Overwhelming stuff. One of my questions to them was this, and I want to ask you the same question here right now, which is, do you think humanity is inherently good or evil in it? And when I say evil, so do we have to learn to be good, or are we just born good? What do you think of that question?
I think we are born good. But due to the circumstances, and of course, there are people who are born with a not so very healthy social brain, so to speak. That's psychopaths, etc. Okay, we leave them aside. But I think humankind is inherently good. We are born good. And if we can stay good and lovable to other people, depends a lot on the circumstances we're born with, because it's all about the gene and context. We become the people we surround ourselves with. And if we had a little bit of bad luck in the first few years of our lives, then we're having a hard time, to keep up with all, to work on all the traumas and all the bad things that happens. But we also know from research that if there is only 1 it can be someone, a teacher in school. If there is someone who sees you, who soothes your nervous system, and who is there for you, that can mean the world. And there is this huge study done in Harvard. It's an 80-year study. It's called the Grand Study, and they studied people over 80 years. What made them? What do people say at the end of our lives if they say this was a good life? It was good the way it was. And you hear the fourth director of this study, Robert Waldringer, say there are 3 things that make a good life: relationships, relationships, relationships. So it is all about strong relationships.
Absolutely. I watched that, by the way. I watched that TED Talk. Robert Waldinger. Yeah, it's like 75, 80 years at Harvard. It's 700 and something men from 1938 onwards.
Exactly.
I think there's about 60 of them left, believe it or not. And they're in their 80s and 90s and stuff.
Very interesting
stuff.
I can recommend everyone to look at, it's just 16 minutes, TED Talk, Robert Waldringer, What Makes a Good Life, and the study is called the Grand Study.
Yeah, it is a fantastic, and when I watched that, getting ready for you and I to speak, and when he just said that, the 3 things, when he said 3 things, relationships, like, wow. And it's so true, and it just gives you pause. I'll tell you another thing that really and we'll move on from that. I just wanted to mention to you that struck me, is that the level of happiness and awareness and joy in life of people in their 80s, they can measure it and relate it directly to how they were feeling in their general 50s. And I was like, wow, that is so. Anyway, that struck me.
Beware, in about 10 years, Peter, you're going to, how old are you?
I didn't want to tell you. Listen, I'm living that. I can be part of that study. Don't let the hair fool you. I can be part of that study. No, that I really, like I said, the power of strong relationships. So no, I'm really glad we talked about that, because it is definitely a TED Talk worth tuning into. Soul and spirit. I often talk about this. You meet people that are a good soul, and then in context, you might be speaking about someone's energy or their spirit of who they are and so on. What do you think about those 2 concepts, spirit and soul? They the same thing?
I think people talk about it in the same way, like soul is spirit. Oh, that's a tough one. I think, for me, I think, just my 2 cents, the soul we are really born with. This is this deep down me. That is the soul, and the spirit is maybe the way we show our energy to the outside world, kind of an amplifying of that soul thing that is deep within us. So I think the spirit is more that what I show and the outside world feels.
I love it. I mean, there's no right or wrong. I know
it's.
Hey, I just feel the same way. I feel like the soul is. I feel the same way. I feel that whatever that is, essence, whatever that is, it's more of a foundational kind of thing.
Foundation, a very deep. I'm born with that soul, and the spirit is also developed a little bit through the things that happened in life and the people I met. It's maybe the soul a little bit amplified or something like that.
I love it. Like I said, again, full show. We could do a full show just on that one here. All right, this is a big one. Hey, no right or wrong, obviously. What do you think? What do you think happens when we die?
What was it? I don't think there is this major change of address from earth to heaven. I don't think that. But what I do think is that energy never gets lost. So the way I touch the souls of other people, I'm going to live from the outside my body to the inside hearts of the people who love me and think about me. My legacy will stay for a while, the energy and the life I touched. But no, for me, it's no change of address from earth to heaven. No.
Listen, I love the fact you've used this word multiple times today so far, legacy. I'm I love the word. I love the concept. I love the conversations, and it resonates with me because it's always top of mind for me as well. It's like, at the end of the day, what are you going to be remembered for? Or what do people remember you as now, even in current time, while you're still here? When someone says your name or something.
Yeah.
What
and also respect for the legacy from the people who came before. The respect for all the women who fought that I now can study and do the things and work and can do the things I do. So it's respect for all the people who came before us.
Oh, that is so well said. It's so very true. I'm going to make sure we jump in and make sure I'm not missing any great. There's so many great conversations going on. Everyone who's here and sharing and interacting with each other in the comments, we super appreciate you being here. And I just want to put in a couple more comments in here for. Let's see. There's a, this beautiful soul.
Hi, Jacqueline. Yeah.
Right.
Hi.
I mean, there's a great soul right there.
The lady I know from Clubhouse.
Right. 365 Give, everybody. Check out Jacqueline Way. She's doing amazing things. And she as well on Clubhouse. Just amazing things. The last, just so you know, for Robert's last name, WALDINGER.
Yeah.
Waldinger. I think Waldinger, if you want to call it. Check that out, Melody. It's a great again, talking about what's the foundation of a good life and so on. Soul tied to emotion and spirit is tied to energy and passion. Hey, that's just a feedback about the soul and spirit. That sounds tied to emotion. One's tied to the energy and passion. I love that. There's that link right there, just so everyone knows. There's Robert. There's the spelling right there, everybody, for that. Hey, I'm going to reach out to Robert. We'll have to get him on the show now to talk about his findings. Simple as that. Danielle, I often remember a quote from one of your previous presentations. I am because we are. Yeah. That's from
𝗂𝗶𝘁𝗵. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I think is that not pulled from like an old African
proverb? Ubuntu, I am because we are. Yes, 𝗂𝗶𝘁𝗵, thank you so much for reminding us. Yeah, it is.
I love that. So no, I just want to make sure, listen, everybody, if we didn't get your comments, we so appreciate you being part of it. Great conversation. Hey, you've had a pretty cool journey. And we don't have to dig into on the personal side, but I know you've been to the valley, you've been to the mountains, so you've been across a very interesting journey. You've been in the corporate world, you've gone as being an entrepreneur on your own, so you've been out there doing all kinds of different things, which means that your journey is full. And I'm just curious what you're most proud of right now. What are you most proud of about your journey to date?
What am I most proud of? To be honest, Peter, last week we talked about a few personal things in one of the Clubhouse talks. I'm divorced 4 years ago. And, when I was young and my grandma was my age, I thought when you are that old, when you have gray curls and the flowery thing and the comfortable shoes, when you're 54 and so old, you made it, everything is okay, you're fine, and you can enjoy life. And at 50, I had to start all over again. And I thought, oh God, this is never going to be okay in that peace and all. But now, 4 years later, I think also a lot of credits to my son, to Luc. He showed up in so many ways. We did such a good job. I had so much loving, my family, of course, and a lot of friends. And I met Stefan. I mean, how lucky can one be? I have my own little house, and we're happy. Now I can say we feel home here.
Yes.
And the older I get, Peter, the more I'm coming home to myself, I think.
See, there you go. See, that's what I'm hearing. I heard that, and especially again in the Clubhouse, it was a very emotional share that you had, and it's just it warmed my heart thinking that you guys were just sitting having a conversation. And I think it was Luke who said that, right?
Luke,
it was,
yeah.
Hey, this feels like home, Mom. This feels like home. I think that's so fantastic. I just want to put his the good looking fella right there. There he is. Good looking fella right there. Good to see you, Luke. And I never caught the name of your beautiful dog. What's your dog's name?
Max.
Max. That's what. Max.
Labrador Retriever. Our Max. Yeah.
Max,
very smart dog.
I saw him sitting on the couch of one of your pictures. Life is good. Life is good for him.
Life is good. Yeah.
Life is really good for him. Again, there is just so much to talk about with you. I so appreciate, again, us digging into cognitive neuroscience. We talked a little bit about your background of how you work with business leaders and so on when it comes to human resources and the connection point of that. So I think that's really super important and to continue that conversation. But we got to get to know you a little bit better. The part of the show, hey, it's one of my favorite parts of the show. I got to learn a little bit. I want to ask you a few questions to find out what's inside the mind. What's inside the mind of Danielle Hellebrand? That's what we have to know. So you know what we're going to do now, don't you? Right? I hope you do. We're going to do a little this or that. Got to have some this or that. Got to find out a little bit more about you. No right or wrong here. There's no right or wrong. We're just having fun. I don't know the answers to these, and there is no right or wrong. We're just having some fun. I'll mention two things, and I want you just to tell me a little bit about, or just tell me which one you would choose. Simple as that. Now, we haven't even talked about this, so there's no right or wrong to this. Whiskey or wine?
Oh, wine.
Jump really quick. Oh, wine.
Wine.
Red or white? Red or white? Just curious.
Both. Now white. I used to love red wine, but now I love white wine more.
Yes. Well, the answer to me is always like, what time in the morning is it? There we go. How about a superpower? Invisibility or the ability to read someone's mind?
Again, sorry, Peter.
So invisibility?
Yeah.
As a superpower or the ability to read people's minds?
Invisibility. I don't want to read people's minds. I don't want to know what they think about me and what's going on in their heads. No,
I've heard that from people. I have to revisit the question because everyone says the same thing. So I don't want to know what people are thinking.
No way.
I think that's funny. That's really funny. 60s music or 80s music?
60s music, 80s music. Well, I listened to the 60s music in the 80s. I grew up with, Pink Floyd and Fleetwood Mac and Supertramp. I know. Do you know the cassette things, Peter?
Are you kidding?
No, you are young. You are too young. You don't know that.
No,
but
come on. No.
I had a cassette player.
I don't have one within reaching of me right this second, but I'm going to tell you something, and I'll show you off the air when we get off the air. I used to play in a band. I was in a band at one time, and I have a cassette. We put out a cassette of our band. In other words, we released a cassette, and that was cutting edge then. There was no CDs when I started playing. I'm an old guy. I'm old G. So yes, I do know cassettes. So are you telling me that you enjoyed the 60s music, or you listened to the 80s in the?
Yeah, well, I mean, the 60s. I love, Supertramp, as I said, Pink Floyd, etc., etc. And now when I hear young people complain about Spotify or something, I think, hey, are you kidding?
Yeah.
My rewind button didn't function, so I had to take a pen,
That's right.
Go with the cassette and rewind.
I'm telling you, there's people sitting here going, "What is she talking about?" I know exactly what you're talking. I know exactly what you're talking about. No, I know exactly. That's why I'm laughing, because someone says like, "What is she cassette?" Anyway, so are you saying the 80s is your favorite? Okay, I get that. My hair's stuck in the 80s, so I get that. How about this? Skydive or bungee jump?
None. No. None. Oh, no.
Are you scared of that stuff? Yeah.
No, I wouldn't risk it. No.
So you
no, I'm sorry, Peter. I can't.
No daredevil stuff. So no daredevil stuff. Okay, it's good to know. See, I didn't know that. I want to know that stuff. So when I come and visit you,
I'm daring. I think I'm brave, but those kind of things, no.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so you're gonna have to help me with this, pronunciation wise. So this is for food. So food wise, how do I say these two things?
Erwtensoep of stampot? I'm going for the erwtensoep. Peas soup.
That's what it is. It looks like soup, right? So the first one is, and pronounce that for me, please.
Erwtensoep.
Erwtensoep.
Yeah, exactly. Erwtensoep.
Okay, and the second one?
Stampot. It's mashed things with carrots and potatoes, etc. I like it's winter food, when it's cold outside. You eat this. Yes. It's nothing you eat in the summer.
Right. The holidays are coming. That's what I thought. I thought that two of these would make sense. So which you pick the first one? You like the soup?
Erwtensoep.
Got it. Okay. So there you go. I learned something when I was researching all the great food I'm going to eat over there. So there you go. How about this? When you're traveling, this is probably an unfair question because you're in Europe. So I'm going to move it from Europe. How about Australia, travel-wise? Australia or the Caribbean?
Australia.
Australia. Yeah. Have you been?
Yeah, I've been there. A family of mine lives, and it's on my bucket list to go back. I want to go another time to Australia.
Got it. We missed you just for a couple seconds. Did you say you have family there? Did you?
Yeah, we have family there. They moved from the part of my father's side. They were all globetrotters. They were travelers. They moved to all places around the world. And part of my family lives in Sydney, in Australia. Yeah.
I've been to Sydney. Love Sydney. I'd love to go back there. I would love to go back there, especially the Rocks area. That's where all the pubs are.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. How about this one? Wizard of Oz or Casablanca?
Casablanca.
Wow, that's cool. Okay. Like that movie. Now, here's the funny thing you're going to know. I got to figure, because I got to change this. I haven't, all the classic movies, I've never seen them, the majority of them, from start to finish. So believe it or not, I know what Casablanca is. I've seen so much of it that I feel like I've seen it, but I never watched it from beginning to end.
Why? Do you fall asleep? Because that happens. I fall asleep when I watch television.
Wizard of Oz, same thing, by the way. Wizard of Oz. I've seen it so many times, but I've never seen it from beginning to end. I got to change
My
that.
problem is I fall asleep in the evening when I watch television.
There you go. There you go. That's the red wine in me right there. Sunrise or sunset?
Oh, both. But then I take the sunset. Yeah. To wind down at the end of the day and look at the sunset. Yeah.
Yeah. Reflect, right?
Reflect. Yeah.
Yeah. I see that. No, I got that. How about this? How about a day with, well, he's called, I don't know if he's Prince anymore, but I'm calling him this. How about a day with Prince Harry talking about mental health, or a day with Michelle Obama talking about human rights?
Michelle Obama. I would love to meet her. What a great, wonderful, intelligent. I would also like to meet Prince Harry and talk with him and Meghan about mental health.
Yes.
I think it's very good that they're so open about that. So is our Princess Amalia. Our future king, she also talks about. So I think that's a very good thing, but I would like to chat with Michelle Obama. Absolutely.
Right. Oh, just to be in that.
What a wonderful woman. What a wise, beautiful, wonderful woman.
I tend to agree with you. How about this one? Hope or freedom?
Hope or freedom? Hope. Having hope, yeah. I like having freedom, but no, I choose hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Any reason why that pops out first? I mean, I know you gave it some great thought there, so I appreciate that.
No, you make me.
No, there's no right or
wrong. I love both because if hope doesn't accompany us, where are we? What's we need hope, we need freedom. That's a difficult one. I don't know, Peter.
Well, yeah, I know you chose hope. I listen, we'll go with that. Hope is good. You can't listen. I agree with you. It's very, very difficult to have perspective on anything in life if there's no hope. If there's no hope, it's a very dark place. So
then it's a dark place. Yeah,
it's a very dark place. How about finishing this sentence for me? I love my life because
I have so many wonderful people in my life. I feel loved. That's why. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, you feel loved. People.
I feel loved.
The people in your life.
I feel loved. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. And you talked about it earlier. We talked about it, generally speaking, about this idea of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Being surrounded by people that love and support you, and I mean, what else is there?
I mean, at the end of the day, Peter, when we're old, who are there for us? And if we look back at I don't look now with 54 back in my life and think I should have done more meetings, or the revenues should have been higher. It's all about the loving people in my life. that's all it's all about, I think. It's just my 2 cents.
I so agree with you. I so agree with you. I just love this. I love our conversation. I want to just jump back into the comments. There's so many great people in here. That is, here we go. Yes, we just talked about a few things here. That quote, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the quote from Ubuntu. Yeah, the traditions. I love that very much. Look at this beautiful soul, Jeanette R. Smith. You definitely want to just learn more about her, Danielle.
I saw your show. I loved it. Loved it. Beautiful energy. Hi, Jeanette.
She is just. Yeah.
I was also in her clubhouse room.
Right there, you go. Hey, that's what's so great. Right, and there you go. There's a quick shout out to you. Look how great you are. Loving to see you. Right, and let's see who else is here. Oh, here's a good-looking fella right there.
Hey,
I know that guy.
Pascal.
My good to see
buddy,
you,
my friend. Hi.
Right, so you guys know each other pretty well, right?
Yeah, we do.
I've only spoken to him once. He is awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, this or that. I love that. I got to talk with him more. He's a cool guy. I did the same thing, especially when the tape wound. They're talking about the tapes, the cassette. I know that. It's fantastic. Here, I just want to throw up this one. Here, look at this. I have wonderful memories of person Danielle over 20 years. Haven't changed a bit. Warm person. Hey, look at the
Thank
love.
you, dear Helga. Oh, these wonderful people. Thank you.
That is fantastic.
They're great.
I could listen to Danielle speak about food or anything all day long. See, she loves your voice. You know, I got to tell you something, and I do too. I love your voice as well, and I mean this with so much respect. I can't tell you. I just love accents. Meaning you're probably thinking, oh, you have a Canadian accent. Well, I can't hear it, but with an accent like that, I mean, it's just fantastic. So you have
thank you.
Yeah. Oh, it's rock star stuff. If I had an accent like that,
Jeanette. Thank you.
I'd run half the world. I mean, it's just fantastic. I love that. Here we go. Yeah, love for a reason. There you go. Absolutely. And there's a wonderful perspective, both freedom and hope. So, you know, it's funny. The interesting thing about that question is that, you know, there's no right or wrong and stuff. And it's all about our outlook and how we're thinking about things. You think about hope and so on. I normally end on that question, but I just want I recognize that I really didn't ask you this, and I think it's important. I want to hear it because I think you have like you said, a great journey in your life. So you have a perspective on this, and you speak to so many people. Staying hopeful, staying hopeful and staying optimistic. What keeps you hopeful and optimistic these days?
To be honest, there were times in my life I had to dig very deep to look for hope and staying optimistic. But I think there is I don't want to have another option than being optimistic, because when I think on the rest of my life, and when I think about the generations who are now there and who are yet to come, if I'm not optimistic and being hopeful, for me, it's not an option. That's not shutting my eyes and not wanting to see what is. But if there is a hope, there is action, there is energy, and we can make the world a better place. We can do something in a work environment, in our private lives. So, yeah.
I get it. I really do. I appreciate that answer.
And seeing people, I mean, role models are so important. I have a few very wonderful friends, and I know a lot of fantastic people. That gives me hope. Yeah,
those relationships, right? Having those relationships.
Yeah.
Danielle, I knew this was going to be a fantastic conversation. I just knew it. Loved every minute of it. So awesome to meet you like this. I mean, we've not met before. We've met just the voices. The voices are back and forth. We heard the voices before.
I fell in love with your voice, Peter, and that's what I said on Clubhouse. And then I don't know. So that's how it started somehow.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That's a very kind compliment. Along the bottom, everybody, this is how you reach out to Danielle. Please do that here, especially if you're on LinkedIn. If you're watching on LinkedIn, if you're not, you can also go out to her website at betterbrainsatwork.com, just underneath her name here on the screen, betterbrainsatwork.com. Reach out to her if you're a business leader, if you're in the world. I mean, she comes from, again, 20 years with executive experience and then pushes that over to neuroscience. you bring those two worlds together, and that's a great combination for your business. So please reach out to Danielle. Social media as well, you can connect with her that way. Clubhouse, again, we've seen you on Clubhouse, so we'll be watching for you on Clubhouse. Hopefully we'll see each other crisscrossing on there, and I hope I get a chance to come over and visit you. I got a lot
Please do.
Right, I want to go to. I'd love to go. Pascal, like Pascal's part of that organizing or that group that's having happiness at work over in Antwerp. They're having that in December.
13th of December. I'm seeing Asha Lalai, Jim Lippens, Pascal again.
Come on, see, that's going to be Asha. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be unbelievable.
Claude Silver will be there amongst.
Claude Silver is going to be there. Absolutely. There's direct flights from Calgary to Amsterdam. Did you know that? Just put it out there to the universe. Come on, send me someone. Universe, send me a ticket. I'm on my way. I'll be on my way tomorrow. Listen, I would love to see you there. If we don't see each other, we'll stay in touch. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you. Sending all
Thank you so much for having me, Peter. Thank you.
Oh, you are super welcome. And everybody, you know how we end the show. You know what? I'm gonna play some music out at the end here, but I'll see you on the other side. I'm gonna play some music because if I come over to see you, what you're going to see right now is generally what we're going to be doing. Just so you know. Okay, so I just want to give you a heads up just in case there's any mistake on that. Everyone, thanks for joining us. We so appreciate that. Please connect with Danielle. Sending all the love and support to everybody who was in the comments. And we so appreciate your support and all of the friends of Danielle. Gosh, you got a great network of people. So you're very lucky to have those people, and they're lucky to have you. So it's wonderful. Hey, everybody, you know how this all ends. Every time we say it, I'll say it every single time. Just be kind with everybody. Just be kind. Just be kind. We'll see you. Everybody take care. Danielle, we'll see you on the other side. And this is what we're in for. And the next time I come over to see you, this is what you're in for, just so you know. See everybody.